Stephen A., what will it take for you to trust the process?
Nothing. It'll never happen. I understand that it's a lot of fun for everybody else, Max included, you included. I don't knock anybody for that. When I'm in the city of Philadelphia and I show up to the Wells Fargo Center, hecklers start chanting, trust the process, because they know I'm in the building. They did it to me the last time I was there. Philly's a second home to me. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for how wonderful that city has been to me. I'll always love it. It's a great sports town. Got a lot of friends there and family. But I will tell you that for me, I take it very, very personal because I don't believe that any black man as an executive would be allowed to do what Sam Hinkie was doing. And I don't blame Sam Hinkie one bit. I think he did a great job considering what his job was. That was to rebuild this franchise, and I get all of that. I'm simply saying that every time I hear about that, we have a lot of issues that we tackle right here on First Take. And one of the issues that we address is the issue of fairness. And I always say it like my boy Jeff in Cali says, fair is a place where they judge pigs. It doesn't exist, essentially. But that still doesn't mean that you don't hope for it or whatever. And when it's absent, it doesn't have to be so flagrant. Again, Sam Hinkie was the GM, so you're talking about owners, Josh Harris and others who allowed this to happen. But I would remind everybody that the commissioner felt the need to intervene. Jerry Colangelo ultimately took over basketball operations before bringing his son Brian Colangelo on board. Why? Because the situation had regressed to such a degree that they knew it was just simply bad for business to literally tell a fan base in one of the top 5 markets in the United States of America that we're going to lose on purpose for years. That's what they did. And in fairness to you, Max, my man Mike Missinelli, who does an exceptional job on radio in Philadelphia, always calls me to be on his show. He had me on his show yesterday. He mirrors your position and that of others, and I understand it. And it's real fun for everybody else, and I get it. I truly understand. I'm not trying to poo-poo the party per se or anything like that. I'm just saying that when every time I hear trust the process, it reminds me of how unfair our system can be to minorities, because there is no black man alive that could be an executive in professional sports and literally be given a license to lose for years and keep his job. That cannot happen. It would never happen.
Stephen A., I didn't interrupt you at all during that because I know that this is important to you, it's serious to you, and there was some stuff to get through. I'd like you to do the same for me right now because I have a couple things I want to get to here. Number one,
absolutely.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. Because the way the NBA is set up, it is in the best interest long-term of the franchise and the fans to not just get good players and contend, because we'll compete. What that means is you got no shot to win a championship. It's to get transformational players and generational talents. And then you have a shot to actually win championships. And that's really what fans in most towns want when you actually talk to them. And in fact, that's why they chant trust the process in Philly and even stuck with the team through the bad times when they were tanking. Now, there's not by definition a generational player in every draft. That's going to be several years between them. So to ensure that you get a special talent or give yourself the best chance to, you got to be bad for a number of years. So you consistently draft high up. So you hit a Joel Embiid, who only dropped to 3rd because he was injury prone, a Ben Simmons, because they lucked up. Not only did they have a terrible record, but actually got the #1 pick. That's how they put themselves in this position. So when I say don't hate the player, hate the game, I believe your basic response to that is, look, I hate the game because all the players are not treated equally. I agree with that. I'm not saying you're wrong about that. I think it's an interesting point that you bring up, and you're using this example to point out racial and social injustice, really. I want to address that. The idea that Sam Hinkie here enjoys white privilege, according to you, essentially. I believe that's right. I think you're probably right. I think if he was a black executive, African-American, it would be more difficult to pull off what he did. First of all, there are fewer opportunities, apparently, for African-Americans, even though the league is largely African-American, and you would think that the talent in the front office would come largely from people who have experience in the game, and yet there's underrepresentation there. And secondly, there seems to be much more leeway for a white executive in this case. And what I will say to that is the point I consistently bring up. The idea for me of white privilege is not to disable white people from using that privilege. It's only privilege because compared to others, they don't have those same kind of tools at their disposal. That's what the privilege is. The ability to freely use the tools, right? That's the power to do that. And what I'm saying is you don't strip everyone of that privilege. You extend that privilege, the power to use all the tools in the toolbox and to freely use, for those things to be at your disposal to everyone, and therefore uplift everyone. Instead of bringing some down, you bring everyone up. That's my basic position.